Hey, what up guys, it's me, Metro Taco Gamer here, back at it again with another video. And today I want to share with you guys 10 underrated Jrpgs that I have in my collection. These are a lot of these are underappreciated. Some of these can be considered hidden gems. I feel like these are pretty underrated, don't really get a whole lot of talk or love in the Jrpg community. Now, this is in no super particular definitive top 10 order. I just place these in whatever order I felt fit. Now, I have a wide variety ranging from PS4, PS5, Nintendo Switch, 3DS, Vita, PS2, and I have so many other gems in my collection that I would love to just highlight here. This is kind of to be considered loosely based for my just a deep dive into my ultimate Jrpg collection that I'm building up here, and I just want to share with you guys these 10 gems in my collection. Now, if you guys really enjoy me talking about quote-unquote hidden gems in my collection, let me know by smashing that like button, subscribing, ringing the notification bell so you guys can stay up to date, and let me know in the comment section below what you guys feel about my choices. I'm definitely going to be doing at least a few more of these videos like this, and with that, let's begin. First up, number 10, we got Freedom Wars for the PlayStation Vita. Now, if you guys are way into the Monster Hunter games like I am, you guys will definitely love Freedom Wars, as this is one of the several Monster Hunter clones on the PlayStation Vita. Now, this one, you play as a character who has been sentenced to a long, I want to say has a lifetime sentence, and is sent out on missions to defeat these giant monsters in order to gain his freedom. Hence the name Freedom Wars, because you're basically fighting for your character's freedom, and you're going through this post-apocalyptic world with giant weapons, taking down giant enemies, and just kicking all sorts of ass. I love the Monster Hunter games. The first one that really got me into this type of action RPG genre is Monster Hunter Rise on the Switch, and I can't wait to put a lot of time into Freedom Wars. I've only played it a little bit, and so far it is very enjoyable. I love the different monster designs in this game. I don't really know a whole lot to really tell you guys any more than that, but that's about it. So number 9 is Zanki Zero Last Beginning for the PS4. It's a first-person dungeon crawling survival action type RPG where you have 8 different characters that are on this island that I believe it's called Trash Island, and you're going through all these different dungeons in first person, fighting off the creatures on Garage Islands, not Trash Island. I don't know why I thought it was called Trash Island, but it's called Garage Island. It's the base of operations. Now, the unique thing about this game is that all the characters only live up to about 13 days, and they get reincarnated over and over and over again, and they start off from a young age of child all the way up to a senior citizen, and depending on the character's age depends on how useful they are in combat. And you also have to survive, so you have to have craft items and have food and all that in order to survive and just figure out what the mystery of Garage Island is. And it's also very anime. And number 8 is one of my favorite hidden gems on the Nintendo Switch, Dragon Marked for Death, that you will definitely be hearing me talk a lot more on this channel, as I am currently playing this game and I'm just absolutely loving it. This is a 2D side-scrolling hack-and-slash action RPG made by the same people who did the Azure Striker Gunvolt series, and you go on different quests. It is quest-based, and you play as the members of the Dragon Blood clan that have almost all been wiped out, and there's all these different classes ranging from Shinobi to Warrior to Empress and Witch, and then there's DLC to add 2 more classes in there, and they all have their own different attack styles. I'm currently playing as the Empress, who has this dragon arm that can emit flames and also use a giant sword, and she also has different other swords that she can use in combat, and she can also use her dragon arm as like a grappling hook to swing across the different areas, and you're just fighting all sorts of different monsters, and there's boss fights galore. Man, this game is absolutely epic. I highly recommend this game. It's also pretty cheap on the Nintendo Switch. You can get it for about 15 bucks CIB, and I just absolutely love it. And then next up, we got Nosurge Ode to an Unborn Star, which is available on the PlayStation 3 as well as the PlayStation Vita. I have it on the PlayStation 3 and the Nintendo Switch for the DX version. Now, I chose the DX version as that's the only one that I can actually play, because I don't currently have a PS3 in my collection, and I am planning on picking up a PS3 so I can at least play the game in English. But the DX version is pretty fun. The most unique thing about this is that the combat, it's a turn-based RPG, but you can take on every single enemy in a dungeon all at once if you really want to. So that way you can avoid like random enemy encounters and just be able to explore the dungeon. Now this is connected to the Tonelico series, one of my favorite series of all time. And I really love the art style here in Nosurge. Also, the English version, the main character, Delta, is voiced by Johnny Young Bosch, one of my favorite voice actors of all time. And also the OST in Nosurge, and even in the Tonelico series, is freaking a masterpiece OST. I really like what Gus did with Nosurge, blending sci-fi and fantasy together, and it's a really amazing game. And then next up, got Crymachina on the PS5, a action RPG made by Furyu and published by NIS. And this is a game that I did recently do a review of. It's a sci-fi hack-and-slash action RPG, very fast-paced combat. You play as 3 different anime waifu girls, and you have different loadouts for them, ranging from swords to axes to spears, and you can choose different, like these floating optional weapons, these auxiliary weapons ranging from swords to satellite cannons to deflector shields and radar jammers and all that, and you're taking on these machine gods in order to become more human-like, and just also going through this giant space station, all these different areas, taking on the machine gods, learning what it is to become truly human and to develop emotions and all that. And there's like some romance mixed in there between the girls. And just overall, it's honestly a pretty fun game. The visuals are pretty okay. The OST is amazing, and it's an amazing game. And then next up, got one of my favorite Yeast games, and I am considering this a bit of an underrated gem, because I know not a whole lot of people really care for Memories of Celceta. A lot of people just forget that it even exists, in my personal opinion. But as for me, I absolutely fell in love with this game. This is the first Yeast game I've ever played and beaten. I love the ginormous boss fights. I love the party members being able to switch between them on the fly, and each of them have their own movesets and weaknesses and advantages over certain types of enemies, and all the different skills that you get to unlock, and discovering the mystery of the giant force of Celceta and how it ties to Adol as he has lost his memories. And then you also figure out about the origins of him gaining the title of adventurer, and there's just a whole lot of lore in this game. This is the canonical version of Ys 4, and it's an amazing game. And then we got one of my favorite games on the Nintendo 3DS. This is Project Cross Zone, developed by Monolith Soft and published by Bandai Namco. This is a crossover between characters from Capcom, Sega, and Bandai Namco. So you got like Resident Evil, you got Street Fighter, Virtua Fighter, Dot Hack, Shining Force, Mega Man. You also have Dark Stalkers, you have Sakura Wars, Valkyria Chronicles, and this is a tactical role-playing game with a fighting game style combat system where you're just pulling off different combinations, and you have support characters that you can attach to your combo units, and you just go around all throughout the different worlds figuring out what the hell is going on, why are these worlds colliding. Oh, and there's also characters from Xenosaga, one of my favorite series, and just overall it's a really fun game. And then we got Piece Odyssey for the PlayStation 5. I played it on the PlayStation 4 last year and I absolutely fell in love with it. I'm a huge fan of the One Piece anime, and I really like what they did with this game. The art style is gorgeous. Some of the enemy designs kind of remind me of Dragon Quest. Even though this has nothing to do with Dragon Quest, it was published by Bandai Namco and developed by Ilka, who also did some Pokemon games, and they also just recently put out the Sandland game for PlayStation 5, 4, and other consoles. And this game is also going to be coming out onto the Nintendo Switch, and I highly recommend it, and has a very unique turn-based combat system where you have like different characters spread out throughout the battlefield, and you can take on different sets of enemies with whatever characters you have in your party. It's a situational based, turn-based combat system. You also have like different like sub-objectives that can appear in battle, and completing those objectives will allow you to gain like EXP bonuses. And then the exploration in the game, you go back to different areas in the One Piece franchise, and it's just an amazing game based off of a beautiful masterpiece of an anime. And then number 2, and yeah, I am kind of like blending in with the different entries. There's just so much I really want to talk about these games, so that's why I do planning on doing like individual reviews of every game in my collection. But next up, we have Shining Force EXA, or EXA. This is a hack-and-slash action RPG set in the Shining Force franchise, and you play as either Toma or Cyril, as they are on a journey to find the legendary Shining Force, which is a holy sword that has been rumored to grant immense power and allow them to rule the world. Now, you do find the Shining Force sword early on in the game, and that will grant access to the Geo Fortress, which is this giant mechanical fortress that you're able to upgrade and be able to defend at certain points in the game. And you just go throughout the world trying to stop this evil force named Malzatra from reawakening. There's also 2 kingdoms that are at war with each other that get involved, and they also want the Shining Force and the Geo Fortress in order to take over the world. And it's just a really fun, beautiful game for the PS2. Then lastly, one of my favorite games of all time, Tonelico 2, Melody of Metafalica, a very beautiful sprite-based PS2 turn-based RPG with a very fast, fluid combat system where you have 2 front vanguard fighters, and then you have 2 Ravatails, who are these song maidens that are able to use song magic, and you are able to dive into their consciousness, known as the Cosmosphere, in order to go through like these kind of like visual novel style adventures in order to form stronger song magic that you can use in combat. And the song magic can range from healing to offensive and defensive, adding buffs and debuffs, and also being able to deal a lot of damage. You also have the different level of attacks that depend on the harmony that you have with your Raventails and all that. And you also go around this kind of like sci-fi fantasy world trying to stop evil, and the story is very confusing. If you really want to know more about this game, I do have a full review of both the Tonelico games on the PS2, but Tonelico 2 is my overall favorite. It's the first one that I've beaten, and I just absolutely fell in love with the story, the combat, the characters. It is an amazing game, and I highly recommend it. It's one of my favorite games in my collection.